What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It is time for roster review update number 2, where we go over the entire roster update from SDS, talk about all the players, well, maybe not every single one, but the vast majority of them, and see what's going on. Who are we still investing in? Who did we hit big on? Who was maybe a snub or two? And we just see what's up. So let's start with starting pitcher here. And you see some of the studs got boosts here, not big boosts. A little boost for Cole and Scherzer off rip. Scherzer's on his way back up over 90 the way he's pitching. He's been amazing. If you were concerned about his age, I mean, I get it to a degree, but for me, Scherzer is similar to Verlander in that he's a guy that I'm going down with the ship on him until I see him like fall apart. This is more for like fantasy drafting, but like until I see that he just doesn't have it anymore, I'm going to count on him to get back. And I knew he was a little bumpy last year, but he's been amazing this year. Bieber gets a little bit of a hit just for giving up some hits. Nothing to be too concerned about. Kershaw goes down a little bit, and then a few neutral moves here. We call that getting nooched. Darvish, Nola, and Buehler get nooched. Nothing really to worry about. I'm going to spend a little bit less time on some of the guys that like don't merit a huge discussion. Sometimes I get off onto tangents and I speak for like 5 minutes on Aaron Nola, and it's like, he's not an investment option. He got nooched. Like, what are you doing spending 5 minutes? So we're going to do a lot less of that this week and focus on things that actually matter. Like Brandon Woodruff going diamond. I wasn't sure if he was going to get it this week. I had him for an 84, saying like, let's invest in him. He can get diamond this year. I just wasn't sure if they were going to do it. Turns out he was super close. That's the tough part too about guys that I'm close on, because I don't know how little or how much they need to hit that level change. That sometimes, I feel like, okay, well, he's 2 points away. That's going to take a while. This is only +5 and +3. It's not that big of a jump, but it got him the 2 points that he needed. Well deserving, too. He's been a monster now for a few years. He's been pitching like a diamond, got what he deserved. And how much money could you have won off somebody just within the last couple weeks if you said, I bet you that Brandon Woodruff gets diamond before Corbin Burns? Like, that would have been crazy. Speaking of Corbin Burns, all he had, the only reason he was on the IL was COVID. He was back last night, set that record for walks, fewest walks in innings, and most strikeouts before a first walk. He finally did walk Tommy Edman, who's a superstar. We'll talk more about him later. But he's on his track to diamond too. So if his price is still down in the 3,000s where it was, get your Corbin Burns shares. I know a lot of y'all are upset about this one. Why didn't Lance Lynn go up? Why did he get nooched? The thing of it was, he did start yesterday the 13th, which was a Thursday. The roster update's already locked by then. It locks on, I believe, Tuesday night. Don't quote me on Tuesday night. I think maybe if like a guy pops off on a Wednesday afternoon, they might like slide in and make a change. I don't know for sure on that. But Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon, somewhere in that realm. So basically for me, once Tuesday night games are over, I consider it locked. If the Wednesday afternoon thing is real, well, I'm not worried about it. It's too niche of a thing to worry about. So Tuesday night's when it locks. So a Thursday night quality start out of Lance Lynn did not count for the upgrade. That said, he's on the diamond cusp, and if you're invested in him, just stay. Destined for diamond for sure. Speaking of destined for diamond, now I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap on this one, and I hope you guys got in because I was big on Flaherty as one of those no-risk investments. This was a former diamond who was down at like 82. I think he might have even, did he start lower than that? And this is his second upgrade? I can't remember. But either way, he was damn near quick sell price, which is 1,000 for a gold. For a former diamond who's really good still and shows no real issues, easy investment. Now he's up near 5K and people are back on thinking that he's going to be diamond in no time. So hopefully you got in. Twitch.tv/Spore. Come through, subscribe. You get the full investment list where I talk about all this sort of stuff in my Discord. You can get in and make a ton of stubs. $5 a month. Not too bad. Or if you have Amazon Prime, link your account. Get a free subscription every month. Just saying. My dog's crying because she wants you to invest in her channel, sharinvestments.com, but she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's a dog. Lucas Giolito goes down a little bit, and he's getting walloped here this afternoon against KC, so he might go down further. It's been a little bit rough here for Giolito. Kenta Maeda goes down. He had that big start against Texas where I thought he was starting to turn the corner. He wasn't bad against the White Sox, but it wasn't great either, and I understand why he takes a hit here. I would not I'm not investing in him for diamond this year. I can't say that. But as far as fantasy goes, I would buy low on Kenta Maeda. I have no problem doing that. Char, what do you think? No, Kenta Maeda, he's going to go to bronze. Sell all your Kenta Maedas. Okay, cool. Tyler Glasnow, this was basically an automatic gold. There was no doubts about this. He goes up to an 81. If you want to hang on with a destined for diamond on him, I totally get it. I totally get it. If you missed on him for gold, see where his price goes here. Now that he hit gold, it might be a couple thousand, but he's got a great diamond opportunity. Tyler Glasnow is one of the brightest young pitchers in the game. He got that third pitch finally. He could absolutely be diamond at some point this year. Speaking of possibly diamond at some point this year, my buddy B-Law ran a test. KB-Law on Twitter, or on Twitch, excuse me. Follow him, twitch.tv/KBlaw. He did a test. Took Ohtani, zeroed out his hitting numbers. It did nothing. He took Ohtani, 99 all his hitting numbers. It did nothing. So the hitting does not have an impact on his overall rating, which means the only way he's going to get to diamond is if he improves his pitching. Now, his last start out looked like the Ohtani that we all dream about. He was amazing against a high-quality team in the Astros, and that's exactly what we want to see. But we need to see a heck of a lot more of it if we want Ohtani to get to diamond. For now, just enjoy him as a useful gold starter who can absolutely beast at the dish. But if you want that Diamond Live Series card, he's going to have to figure something out. I don't know what I did here. Whoops. He's going to have to figure something out where he consistently stops walking guys the way he did in that great outing against the Astros. He went 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. The runs don't matter, but 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. Prior to that, he'd had 5, 6, 2, and 6 walks. So that's why we haven't seen him really go up yet that much, was because his walk rate's terrible and the hitting boosts that they're giving him don't matter. Joe Musgrove goes up a little bit more. I love Joe Musgrove. He's been one of my favorite pitchers the last few years to promote in fantasy and everything. I don't really see diamond though. He'd have to jump another level or two from what he is. I think he's a firm gold. When I think Joe Musgrove, I'm like, he's like an 82, 83 type. So he might go up a little bit more this year. I don't quite see diamond the way he's pitching right now. If he makes a change or two, we can talk about it down the road. But for now, don't worry about it. This was another damn near automatic gold. And we were all on that. The market was hot on that too, so we don't need to spend too much time. Another guy that I don't really see going diamond anytime soon. Now, between these two, if you said who has a better shot at diamond, I'd probably say Urias. I think he's got, well, I don't know. No, because his innings. That's the thing with the Dodgers, they're always going to limit his innings, whereas Musgrove is like, he can be a workhorse. I think he's got the arsenal depth and just kind of the overall demeanor on the mound that he can go deeper into games. Not saying Urias couldn't go 6, 7 innings if they pushed him, but the Dodgers don't push guys, and he's still very young too. So between those two, I'd still go Musgrove has the better shot, but neither is really in focus for diamond anytime soon. McCullers. This one makes me happy because I've liked McCullers in fantasy. He was very cheap this year, and he's been pitching remarkably well. I did not have him going gold yet, though. I thought that his walk rate was going to be too difficult to overcome, but as you can see, he sustained a drop in his walk rate, but the hit jump was enough to get him there. So I missed this one. We'd been invested in McCullers from previously, so hopefully you stuck with him from that standpoint, but I did not see him getting there yet because his walks were so bad. I had him going 78 to 79 in the first roster update, but I didn't have anything for him in this one. So he was a hold for gold, but he was not somebody I actively promoted this week. This was another slam dunk. We all thought he was going to go gold in the first update. The fact that he didn't, okay, fine, just hold, buy more, whatever. Hopefully you did that, and there he is, easy gold. Charlie Morton is very much on the cusp of losing his gold status, and that's the thing. When we start adding new diamonds and golds, guys have to come out of that club too. I was mentioning this on stream earlier. It's not exactly like some, hot nightclub where it's 1 in, 1 out, but it's pretty close. They can't add 9 golds and then not take anybody out of the gold. Like, they don't want to overinflate that, because then the value of being a gold means less, just in terms of the stature. Same especially with diamond. This is much more so with diamond. I think they have more wiggle room with golds, but for the diamonds, you got to be taking some guys out of the diamond realm if you're adding 3, 4 in a given week. So we'll get to who they took out this week. But Charlie Morton very much on the cusp of going back to silver. So is our boy Blake. I love him, man. He's awesome, but he is struggling right now, and a lot of it is with his pitch efficiency. I'm sure he'd tell you that himself. And right now, it cost him 2 points, down to an 80. He went viral for kind of roasting them about his rating when it was at 82. I wonder what he's going to say now that it's at 80. Zach Wheeler hits gold. This one's a lot of fun here. This was another one that I wasn't quite sure. I had him at a 79. I thought maybe he gets 1 point. He makes it to gold. Hopefully you guys were invested. We've been talking about him for most of the season so far. This was another slam dunk one. He's been so darn good that I thought he was definitely going to get his 1 point to go gold, and he does indeed. John Means business for sure. He got a badass diamond Tops Now card for his no-hitter, and he got a nice healthy 3-point upgrade. This is the thing. 4 points in one roster update is a lot. It really is. And so I did have him going gold, and Carlos Rodon, who you're going to see on this next page, didn't get there either. I knew that it wasn't a lock. Like, even though I put him gold on my sheet, I knew that it was definitely on the cusp a little bit because, listen, this is really the first period of time where John Means has been awesome. So not getting gold yet off of 52 innings, especially when the rest of his career was middling or worse, I totally get. Bottom line is he's still a complete hold for gold. Do not panic. I'm staying fully invested in John Means. And if people go crazy and start selling, then you know what to do. Buy the dip all day, baby. Chris Paddock comes out of the gold tier. I mean, this had to happen. I mean, he has a 137 whip. His strikeout rate is fine, but it's barely one per inning. Or not even, actually, 26 and a third, 26. But it's essentially one per inning. He just hasn't been that good. Jameson Taillon gets a boost. Now, this one shook some folks because they're like, how the heck does this man with a 5.40 ERA get a boost? It's because, as I've been telling y'all from day one of doing this, ERA does not matter. It doesn't matter if you have a 1 ERA, you do not inherently deserve an upgrade. It doesn't matter if you have a 5.40 ERA, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve upgrades. It's the skills that go into the ERA that determine whether or not you're going to get an upgrade. Now, I will say this. The hits per 9 upgrade is a little bit surprising to me because he has basically a hit per inning. And I guess that's telling us that like 65 is about average, but I still think he probably should have stayed at 62 with his current hit 9. The strikeouts are great. They've been way up. If anything, the way I might have done this one is I would have given him like 3 or 4 points on the Ks, nothing on the hits, and then maybe a little love on the walks because that's the one thing he's done well throughout his career is suppress walks. So this one was an interesting one because people see the ERA and they're like, that's so weird to me. But he has had some skills that have been worthwhile, at least with regards to the strikeouts and the walks. I'm still not sold on the hits. Chris Bassett goes up a couple points. Chris Bassett is a hold for gold. Now, between these two, even though Bassett's 1 point behind Taillon, I would see Bassett as a better hold for gold than Taillon. Same with Plesac, in fact. Plesac looks like he's back on track after a rough start this year. He looked really bad, and everyone's like, oh, he was a fraud last year because, he just beat up on the Central with this, that, and the other. And I understood why people were a little bit nervous. Like, I wasn't super keen on him coming into the year. I was ranking Aaron Savali higher as far as fantasy goes. But I didn't think he was total trash either. I mean, I love Savali, so if I have Plesac 2 rankings behind Savali, that means I still like Plesac a little bit. But most people had him ranked really high because of how well he did last year. So he's starting to pitch more like that guy. He's definitely got an opportunity to go back to gold. I mentioned Rodon. I did have him getting all the way to gold this week. He didn't quite make it. What I didn't really realize, wait a minute, this can't be right. I don't think he's only allowed 12 hits this year. I feel like he would have gotten a gold update if he's only allowed 12 hits in 31 innings. That may have been a mistake as far as the... Oh, wow. No, he actually has 12 hits. I thought that was a joke. I know he has a no-hitter, but that's insane. I thought it didn't update. Holy smokes, y'all. Okay, well then how did he not get any hit 9 love? Well, now I'm mad. My man's out here with a freaking 12 hits and 31. That's a 3.5 hits per 9. Now, he was at 10.6 last year and 8.6 the year before, neither of which is very good. I understand that. But he can't get a little love there? Okay, here it is, y'all. Here it is. he got 14 points in his hit per 9 in the first roster update. Okay? So they didn't give him another boost this week. Okay. That's fine. But he only allowed 7 hits in 12 innings in the 2 starts that he had. I gotta be honest, I think he needed another boost there. He's easily a hold for gold. Like, the way Rodon's pitching, if he can stay healthy, knock on wood, man, he's a gold soon. So don't be discouraged by this. Again, I thought that was a typo with the 12 hits. That's so wild. But he's going to go up. Don't worry. Michael Pineda goes up 1 point. Pineda's like, he's a pretty good pitcher, but he's a quintessential silver to me. He always seems to ruin it when he's going well. So, like, you can invest a little bit in him if he's really cheap. I don't know where his price is at right now. But just be careful, okay? I've fallen for this so many times in fantasy. Like, this is finally the breakout. Here he comes. And then he gives up like 4 homers in a game against the fucking Tigers or something. And it's like, cool, dude. So just be careful with Pineda. I've been through it. I mean, in the fantasy realm, we call him Michael Pinata because of all the home runs he gives up. So just be careful. I cannot give a heavy recommendation on Pineda for gold. Maybe a few shares if you just want to be ready because he's a 78. Luis Castillo, I can't talk. I'm not mentally prepared to talk about him right now. Come back to me in 2025 or something. Little downgrade here for Rodriguez. He deserved it. He's been a little bumpy. Some downgrade here for Greinke. And there you go. You see a couple guys coming out of the gold realm there because to fit in all these extra golds, we got to bring some folks out. A 130 whip. Like, that's just not his style. He usually has a great whip. He's just been a little bumpy. I will say, keep a close eye on Greinke, though, because I know he's older, but until I see, like, a full season of him actually just not being good, and to, like, where we really should believe it's the beginning of the end, I have a feeling he'll get back on track, and then he could be an easy gold again in the future. So if you want to wait to see where his price goes, let it bottom out from not being gold anymore, and then maybe start to invest a little bit. Our boy Savali, he gets nooched. I told you guys he wasn't going to go yet. Until he gets the strikeouts up, I think he's going to be a 78, 79. So keep your shares, invest more if you want, but until you start to see those strikeouts go up, I don't think they can justify it. -1 for Heaney. Makes sense. I mean, it's not unfair. He does have gold potential, though. He's a deeper hold for gold than the other guys we've talked about because he kind of has that Michael Pineda-itis where 5 great starts in a row. Oh, he's going to have a 6th because he's facing the worst team in the league, and he gives up 7 earned for some reason. Like, so just be mentally prepared for that. He can be volatile and nerve-wracking the way Pineda is. And he gets hurt a lot, too, also like Pineda. So he really is kind of like left-handed Pineda in terms of those things, not in terms of the way they succeed or anything. Alex Wood, man, he's been on fire. If he keeps pitching like this, he will go gold. But he is also a major health concern. He has a disastrous health profile. So just don't go crazy with Alex Wood because it can all go away due to health more so than skills. Marcus Stroman, cool player. I really like him in real life, but as far as going gold, like, he's also a quintessential silver because he just doesn't get strikeouts at a level that says gold. And as you can see, he's got 34 and 40 in the 3rd innings. Like, that's not bad, but you got to be over 1 per inning to really make a jump there, and we haven't seen it from him. So Stroman's kind of like Savali. If you see his strikeouts jump up, then get in. Now, the difference between Savali and Stroman is I believe that Savali's will go up. I don't really believe Stroman's will. And the main reason is because he doesn't go for them. He's a ground ball guy. He's happy to get you out in 3 pitches on a rolled over grounder than to labor for 7, 8, 9 pitches for the strikeout. So that's just the way he works, and that's totally fine. It helps him be successful, but it doesn't necessarily do us any favors as far as investments go. Sandy Alcantara gets 1 point. He's an easy hold for gold. He's one of the highest on my list. Speaking of, I came out with a new list. It's the hold for gold list, and I took every silver and I gave them the 1 to 10 rating based on their likelihood of going gold, whether in this update or the next one. And that's out for my subscribers, twitch.tv/Spore, if you are interested. Matthew Boyd has had such a weird season. Watching this as a Tigers fan has been so wild because what's the one thing he's been able to do the last few years? Strike guys out. He's had a ton of strikeouts, and that's really kept him afloat. And maybe not even really always kept him afloat. Sometimes the homers that he allows overpowers the fact that he would strike guys out. This year, he's really dialed in his command and control, and the strikeouts have like disappeared. He's down to 6.3 Ks per nine after being at 9.0 and 11.6 the last 2 years. But he's been able to cut the crap out of his home. He's allowed 1 homer all year. Like, that's amazing for him. And his hits are down and his walks are down. So everything else is going well, and the strikeouts aren't there. If he can find a way to start to get the strikeouts back, then he can go gold. But if I'm Matthew Boyd, I'm not fixing what isn't broken. If the strikeouts are what was, making him too volatile, then don't worry about the dang strikeouts and just keep being good. Because, like, right now he's one of, like, 3 Tigers who's been worth anything this year. It's been a disaster to watch my favorite team. Danny Duffy gets boosted. He definitely has skills to get gold, but he has a similar, maybe not similar to Alex Wood. That's a little unfair, but he also has a bad injury history. So I think the skills are viable, but the reason I wouldn't go crazy and get like 100 shares of him for gold is because of his health. And if somebody gets a big injury, it can all go away in the blink of an eye. Yo, Mad Bum has been on fire, and there's legitimacy to it. I have one number for you to keep an eye on to make sure, for you to know whether or not you should feel good about Bumgarner. His velocity. If it's 91 and above, he's pitching well. If it starts to dip 90 and below, that's when you need to worry. Right now, he's been great, and dare I say, he's got some hold for gold vibes. I never thought I would say that this year with regards to Mad Bum, but they're there and they're real. Kind of like Terry Hatcher. Jordan Montgomery gets a little boost. As far as gold for him, we don't have to worry about it yet because I think it's still a long way down the line if he can get there. Tyler Mahle, even though he is still 4 points away, he is one of my favorite hold for golds because I really like his skills. One thing I am a little perturbed by as far as him getting to gold are the walks. They're a little high right now. 3.8, like that's palatable. But I think we need to get it down a little bit if we're really going to get him there because his home run rate has always been a problem and it's still an issue. So one of those two needs to be fixed. And to be honest, I don't know how often they're even... did any of these guys get a homer upgrade? I don't even know how often they look at homer per nine because it's not a playable metric for MLB The Show. So they don't really need to focus on it. So really, if Mahle's going to get us to gold, it's got to be through the walks, I think. Unless his strikeout rate just takes off, right? But 12.0 is pretty high. I don't know that it's going to go any higher, but if he maintains, then I think he'll get a few more points on the K rate. So he is a hold for gold. I've got a bunch of shares. I'm riding it out with him. He started as a bronze this year, but understand that we do need to see a skill improvement in one specific metric for that to really come to pass. Taijuan Walker, this is another one of my favorite pitchers in the league. I love Taijuan, man. He's awesome. I was hoping the Tigers would sign him because he was really cheap. A really cheap free agent on the other side of 30. That's what the poor teams should be investing in. If you can get a free agent who's on the right side of 30 with the arm talent of Taijuan Walker, you got to be doing it. So a team like the Mets doing it, I thought was really, really smart because they're a contender. You know, the Tigers, Orioles, Royals, those type of teams, although the Royals are playing really well, so maybe I shouldn't include them. We'll say Pirates instead. Those teams could have done it too, though, because you could have given him like a 3-year deal and you're getting ages 28, 29, and 30, and that would have been pretty smart. But the Mets go ahead and take advantage. He gets a little boost. He is 4 points away, and I got to be honest, I don't necessarily see hold for gold because he's never really maintained a high strikeout rate. He's usually about 1 per inning, which is fine. Like, that's good. But we're in such a strikeout heavy level era that 1 per inning is like middling right now, which is insane. Like 5, 6, 7 years ago, 1 per inning, you were like a G. But now you're just like, okay, you're just kind of hanging in there with everybody else type of deal. J-Hap. He got blasted the other day, and he's not a gold option anyway. Huascar Ynoa gets a healthy 4-point boost into silver. He's been incredible this year. I can't show it on here because if I hit square, it won't go to his hitting stats. It'll go to the new players. But he has he got a little hitting boost too. That didn't do anything for his overall, as I mentioned earlier. But those of you that are aware that Ynoa has a couple homers, including a big grand slam, he got a little something to reflect that. Now, as far as hold for gold goes, I'm in, okay? I am in on him as a gold option, mainly because of how cheap he is. I will say that it's not a high probability because it's a 2-pitch guy who's kind of coming out of nowhere. But He throws upper 90s. His slider's devastating, and he can miss bats quite a bit. So that K9, that's where we're going to keep an eye on. 58 is probably too low for what he's done thus far, but they want to make him prove it a little bit. He can really get a nice healthy boost off the strikeouts alone. If he happens to not be walking guys at the same time, then I do think Huascar Ynoa could be a June or early July gold. Absolutely a hold for gold. Nathan Eovaldi gets a 1 point little boost here. Just keep an eye on his strikeouts. If you see him start to surge, then he becomes a hold for gold. Until then, though, I don't really see it. Desclafani, dude, I think it was Jolly Olive who did an excellent video on the Giants staff and how cheap it is based on, they built it off of like scrap heap and how great they've done. Desclafani's been a big part of that. There's a homer per 9. Okay, so if it's, then why? Oh, you know what? Boyd had to have already gotten his homer 9. Okay. Sorry, I was just basically talking to myself there. So they are looking at homer 9, but only if you make like a complete shift from who you were. So we'll keep an eye on some homer 9 ones and see if maybe there's some catch up they need to do with a few guys. But he gets a plus 18. He used to be a complete home run machine. I could get a homer off. Okay, let's not go that far. I couldn't get a homer off anybody, but maybe you could get a homer off of him. That's how easy it was. Going to San Francisco, not just the park, that helps, going from Cincinnati to San Francisco, but also the changes that he's made with his arsenal and how he's tightened it up, and his sequencing is so much better that he's allowed a lot fewer homers this year. So they give him a nice healthy boost there. They boost his hits and his walks. So he's kind of like Eovaldi now. Keep an eye on his strikeouts. If you see them go up, then Desclafani becomes a gold candidate. Yeesh, it's been rough for Hendricks this year. This is one of the biggest shocks of the year. Not just that Robbie Ray got back to silver, but how he's doing it. He's kind of had a Matthew Boyd renovation where he's doing like the complete opposite. Actually, I shouldn't compare that because he's still missing bats and everything. What I meant by that was just that he's doing one thing that he's never done before. Like Matthew Boyd has stopped giving up homers, which he always used to do. And Robbie Ray has stopped walking guys at just an insane rate, something that he's always done before. He has a career 4.2 walks per 9. In fact, coming into this year, it was at 4.3. Okay, so he's only lowered at 0.1. But yeah, he was 4.2 for his career. This year, 2.3. That's a massive jump. To shave 2 walks per 9, like that is huge. So can he get gold is the question, right? Yes, he can with these skills. But do I believe after 35 innings that this walk thing is 100% legit? No, I do have a little bit of suspicion about it. It's a good run. I'm intrigued by it. I think I'm even going to do a profile on him on Fangraphs next week to see, to give all the breakdown of what he's doing. But as far as investing in him right now, I wouldn't go crazy. Keep an eye on him for his next 3 to 5 starts. If you continue to see the walks be down, then you can start to jump in. But I think it's going to take 2 more upgrades. I doubt that there would be an opportunity for him to go 76 to 80. You saw how hard it was with Means and Rodon. I doubt Robbie Ray is going to jump them and have a 2-week period where he's going to deserve it more than they did. So he's going to take 2 more updates. So you'll have a long time to get in if you like Robbie Ray. Just be careful. We know who Robbie Ray is. There are some viable changes here, but don't go crazy with your stubs. Sean Manaea gets back into silver with a healthy season that he's been having so far. His hit rate, though, is a little high. He did get a boost. That's because it was really low, but he is allowing over 1 per inning. So that's a little bit much. I would put him in the Eovaldi category, though. If you see his strikeouts continuing, then he can get there. But like Ray, he's going to require 2 upgrades. So I think you have plenty of time to get in. Do not start stocking Manaeas. I think it's way too soon, if at all. Marquez has been a disaster this year, and it's because he's walking everybody, dude. It's one thing for him to get beat up by Coors and still be like a really good pitcher on the road and still have good core skills, but his walk rate's a mess. He's a mess right now. He'll be bronze next update if he has another bad couple weeks for sure. John Gray gets nooched. He's been having a good season, but his skills aren't really excelling. Like the hit rate's been the best part, and you can see it got boosted. So we're definitely going to be looking at that as far as John Gray goes. Trevor Rogers, we thought he might get silver last time. It would have been a massive upgrade, but the fact is they put him up to a 72, and then this week they got him up to Silver. He is a hold for gold. Yes, he's still 5 points away, but the way he's pitching, he definitely has an opportunity to get there by like the All-Star break. Ryan Yarbrough, -1 for him. Tough scene. Zach Eflin gets a 2-point boost into silver. I don't really see gold, so no need to talk about him. Mr. No-Hitter gets a nice boost. Of course, it all comes from, the bulk of it comes from his hit rate. That's not unexpected. Waino's been pitching well, doing his thing. He could get to silver this year, but that's really it. Kyle Gibson, he's really turned himself around. He's been very good. I could see him as a save for silver. I don't think you're going to make a ton of stubs off of it, but, you know, there's still 2 points to gain. Domingo Germán, bad person, solid pitcher. We'll see how he does. He could get to silver, though. Dobnek, that's just a position change. You get 6 points going RP to SP. Just remember that, by the way. Not for anything coming up. That sounded ominous or whatever, but that's just, that can happen. Hauser, you're wondering, like, why is he even on here? He got hitting boosts for some hitting that he's been doing. Tyler Anderson gets a nice 2-point boost. I did a profile on him this week. He has some interesting things that he's changed. Does he really come onto our radar for like investments or anything? I don't really see it. Luis Garcia, nice boost here. The only concern I have as far as like a save for silver is that when Jake Odorizzi and Framber Valdez come back, where's he going to pitch? And it's probably going to be in AAA as an everyday starter or even their bullpen. Kikuchi finally paying off on some of the hype that he's gotten like each of the last 2 spring trainings, it seems, or maybe even 3. But has he been in the league for 3 years? 19, 20, and 21, right? Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, could he get to silver? Sure. If the strikeouts continue to be good, I think he can get there. Yep. Casey Mize gets 1 point. Cool. Dylan Cease gets 3 points here, and he got some hitting. And his tops now that came out has legit hitting because he went 3 for 3 in that game. Josh Fleming, whatever. Basically what I'm looking here is for some potential silvers. Otherwise, we're not really diving in on these guys. Fulte, we know Fulte. Shane McClanahan, they gave him his slider. So if you maybe want to use him in BR as one of your bronze starters, he's much better now because he isn't just fastball changeup anymore. He's fastball slider changeup. He could be a silver. He's nasty. So he could definitely get a healthy boost this year. He could still gain 5 more points. It's a long-term thing, though, and with Tampa Bay, with their rookies, you know they kind of bullpen, starter, gets an opener, then he is the opener. So I probably wouldn't invest, especially now, because it will take at least 2 more upgrades. But if he gets to like 73, then maybe we can start to check in on him. Until now, just enjoy watching him. Sheffield down, Pavetta up. Don't really see anything for silver. Colt Irvin's been pitching well, but he's kind of a soft-tossing, kitchen sink type of guy. Alex Cobb was... I remember when he went to reliever, we were like, what? That didn't make any sense. So he goes back to SP. John Gant gets boosted. This is a great example of why the ERA means nothing for an upgrade. He has a 183 ERA and a 160 whip. I guarantee you could probably find a tweet out there that said, I guarantee probably that it's contradictory. I guarantee you can find a tweet or a Reddit post or something of somebody saying, John Gant has a 183 ERA, why did he get downgraded? That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what drives upgrades and downgrades. Yeesh, Ross Stripling. He was great last night, but he's going to take a long time to get any sort of upgrades. Logan Webb's been pitching well, but the whip is too high right now to really do anything special with that. Fetty, Bettinger, Derek Holland, friend of the stream, cool guy. Jordan Zimmerman just retired. Martin Perez, Patrick Weigel, nothing else that we're seeing here. And that's it. And then as far as new guys, Charlie Barnes and Emmanuel Ramirez get added. All right, guys, I forgot to send over my picks for the Better's Eye thing. I have to do that right now. I can't wait till the very end because it's coming up in an hour, which means, by the way, I'm probably not going to finish this. I'm going to have to hurry up. All right, let's see. Who do we want today? Angels. on 1 second. I hope I remember to delete this when I post it to YouTube. Cardinals are a great value. What are they at? I didn't have them on my list. Oh yeah, but they got a rookie pitching, man. So it's like a bullpen game. I don't know, man. That's tough. They're not that. It's a good call out to at least look at. I do agree with you there. But I don't know if I would make it a set pick. I know they're dog shit, but as far as like going for the over, how have the Rockies done against lefties? Have they done any, like they're dog shit team in general, but are they hit? Oh, they are hitting pretty well against lefties. Yeah, I'm gonna go over for Colorado, Cincinnati. I mean, it's 10.5. Like obviously a Coors game is always a high number, but Marquez is pitching and it is Miley who's been great, but Coors doesn't give a shit. All right, y'all. I'm now on a time limit. I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit here. Let's get back into this. All right, moving on to reliever. One of the biggest shocks of the week. We talked about him. I told you guys that he could get to diamond this year, but I was explicit in saying that I did not think it would happen this week. So I got James Karinchak wrong. I thought he'd get to 84. I really thought that they would make him pitch well for a little bit more time. Historically, they have been light on, they make relievers take a long time to get up to diamond, and they very rarely even put them in diamond. But Devin Williams maybe changed things last year because off of a relatively small sample, because the whole season last year was small for a reliever. He got to diamond and he held the diamond. It's one thing to get there. It's another thing the fact that he held it coming into this year. So that really opened up things for Karinchak. I still didn't think he was going to get there. I'm not trying to hedge. I will take an L. I got this one wrong. I thought we had more time to invest. A lot of you were invested though, so hopefully you didn't think that you had more time and you dragged your feet like I did. I only had one extra, and he goes diamond. It's deserving. I totally get it. I'm not bashing their move here. I just now know mentally that I can be a little bit more aggressive on relievers going forward, and that's going to come into focus when we talk about Giovanni Gallegos in the coming weeks. Not yet. He's still going to have to get 2 more upgrades. He'll go to like 82 to 84 and then maybe 85. But I still think that Giovanni Gallegos can get diamond this year if he continues to pitch the way he has been the last several years. Giovanni Gallegos is a G. I really think he should be at least a high gold. Trevor May could also get there too. You see his walks are way up because he only has 1 walk this year. His strikeouts have been good too. If he goes off for the summer, I think Trevor May is somebody who could threaten diamond as a reliever too. So both of these guys I think are worthy investments because last I checked, I don't know where they are right now, so don't quote me, but last I checked on Gallegos, he was near base price, which is $1,000 for a gold. And that makes it a no risk investment. I think anything under like 2,500, you can get a few and put to the side for these guys. If they're higher than that, though, I wouldn't go crazy because then you're taking some risk. Ideally, they're under 2,000, but I don't know where either are right now, so I'm just kind of being general about it. Duffy loses his gold. He's struggled this year. Reliever volatility. Bummer working himself back up. Oh wait, he got off to a slow start, I think. Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, 124 whip tells me that he did. The ERA doesn't mean anything. But he isn't walking guys, so he got a little walk rate boost there. As far as hold for gold, it's way down the line right now, so I don't even think we necessarily need to talk about it or invest, but we'll keep an eye on him. He got his position changed again. The funny thing is he's starting tonight, but it is a double header. So it is one of those things where like he's their 6th starter. Like that's what we know for sure. He is their 6th starter. So he's probably going to bounce back and forth between RP and SP all year. If there's an injury and he becomes the fill-in guy, they'll put him back at SP, things like that. So I don't know where his price is right now, but if it's cheap enough, then you could put a few off to the side. He's got the talent to be a gold. It's just a matter of, is he going to get the opportunities to start, or can he pitch enough as a reliever to get there? Ryan Stanek, I think, is a long-term hold for gold. He's been awesome this year with the Astros, and he's had some gold-worthy periods of time in previous years where I thought he might get there. This might be the year he finally gets over the hump. Craig Stammen goes up. Not going to get too deep into the rest of the relievers here. I am still very much invested in TJ Antone as a hold for gold. He's not even silver yet, so that tells you he's going to be dirt cheap. He's easy save for silver, but I actually have him as a long-term hold for gold because he's a monster. Not only that, but he gets multiple inning outings too. So he's not like most relievers who only go in for an inning or less. When he goes in, it's like 2, 3, sometimes 4 innings. And if they have a starter go down, I bet Antone is the guy who would get the job if it was a long-term situation. So definitely get your Antone shares now before, there's a whirlwind of things that change and all of a sudden he's a silver because he goes to SP and gets like 5 points just based on that change alone. Oh, poor Tanner Waney. Charlotte's going to be disappointed. It's because Tanner Waney isn't that good. Yusmeiro Petit gets neutred. He got upgraded, but it's a neutral move because he didn't get a point boost. Position change for Suero. Sam Coonrod was a big one. This one's awesome because I think he becomes a lot more viable in BR. He has 98 mile an hour fastball and 95 plus sinker. He gets his boosts, and as you can see, he gets some control there on his pitches. One thing that I hope that they focus on more is when they give somebody a BB9 boost, make sure they bump up the control on the pitches too so it makes them more useful. Now this is pretty niche, using a 71 bronze in BR, but I think Sam Coonrod is an easy save for silver. And we'll talk about his gold future down the line. Alex Colomé gets punked because he's been a rough pitcher so far. Trevino gets boosted here. He's been hit and miss. His strikeouts are there, but everything else a little suspect right now. He hasn't been bad, but not enough to go silver right now. Patino, he's another guy who will bounce between like SP and RP depending on how the Rays are using him. We know what they do. I mentioned it with McClanahan. Tony Watson got a position change. What was he listed as? Closer, I guess. It couldn't have been starter. Rex Brothers gets a boost. Speaking of BR, this is a nice boost for BR. Rex Brothers has always been a nice little sneaky lefty. Getting that 5-point boost, that's going to make him a lot more viable. Garrett Whitlock gets a boost. He's been a revelation for the Red Sox. I don't know about silver, but this is a necessary boost for him. Paul Fry gets boosted. I think I had him on the first update. And he didn't quite get it, so then this one they kind of made up and got him there. Minter goes up 1 point. He can be a monster. We've seen him be a monster before, but we've also seen him be very bad, so I wouldn't even talk about him as a silver right now. This is just a position change. He actually got upgraded, but because he lost the SP points, it looks like a downgrade. Same with Ryan Weathers. But by the way, 72 stamina with a good hit 9 and a decent arsenal. Ryan Weathers isn't a bad guy to put in as one of your last bullpen guys in BR. Tyler Chatwood gets a healthy boost. He's been excellent. The big thing that he's doing is not walking guys. That's always been part of his problem, and he's not walking guys out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays. I almost said the Cubs. It's been a huge boon. Big downgrade for Romo. Josh Taylor. Again, we're just looking for guys that we could talk about for the future. I don't want to get buried in these guys that just don't matter that much. Big boost for Springs. He's been awesome. If he pitches like this, then he can get to silver. But let's give him more than 16 2/3 before we really freak out. Big boost for Richard Blyer. Solid little lefty. He's always had bad hits and Ks, though. So he's like a control lefty. He doesn't throw very hard. So he's not even really BR useful. Dolis moves from CP to RP and gets a boost. He's on the IL right now, but it's not expected to be a long-term thing. I don't think he gets to silver, though, either. Wandy gets a boost. Wandy gets a nice boost. Okay. That's a little bronze lefty that you might use in BR. I could see that. Greg Holland gets thrashed. Holy cow. JP Fireeisen. He's still 10 points away from silver. It's a long, long way. But look at these skills that he's putting up. If you want somebody to get in on like dirt cheap and just put a few off to the side. Don't even look at him the rest of the year. Until he goes silver, I guess. He could get there. It'll take a while because he's a reliever and he's 10 points away, but he can get there. He absolutely can. Nothing else here really to see. Any new guys of note? Pedro Strop. Pedro Strop's a G. He could get back to silver too. Carl Edwards Jr. My body type comp. Cool. All right, moving on to closers. Josh Hader and Aroldis Chapman get boosts. Just makes them continue to be very useful in in seasons, let alone BR, of course, too. Little nooch there for Hendricks. He saves getting downgraded out of Diamond because his walk rate's been excellent. I don't think he's really a threat to lose his Diamond again unless he really hits a bad run. This was one of the automatics. He blows past gold at 80 and goes up to an 82. Great move for him there. But that one was kind of an obvious one. Kimbrel, nooched. He's been awesome. I will give him his credit for being awesome. Can he get back to Diamond? I don't really see it this year. No, I don't think so, Tim. A little downgrade there for Kenley. His results have been great, but some of his skills have been a little bumpy, namely the walks. Here's an interesting one. This one, I like this one from a lot of different angles. First things first, BR, a silver reliever with an 83 stamina and good stats and arsenal to go with it. Automatic pick in BR. Like, you're crazy if you're not taking Kendall Graveman in BR right now with the 83 stamina. But can he get to silver this year? Heck yes, he can. With this kind of performance, he absolutely can. So utilize him before they downgrade his stamina, which they obviously will do soon. Take advantage of it now as long as you can, but also maybe start to get your investments together for some hold for gold, because Kendall Graveman's pitching his ass off. His velo's up. I mean, he's striking guys out. He's not giving up any hits, walking anybody, 0 homers. He's been a monster for the Mariners. Melanson's been one of the best closers in baseball. I think his 12 saves lead all of baseball, so he gets a healthy boost. I don't think that he's a hold for gold, though, because he doesn't strike guys out, and I doubt he's really going to start doing it all of a sudden. He's at 7.6 K per 9 this year. That's not very good. So I think this is kind of where I think silver is where he maxes, whether it's 77, 78, 79, but I just don't know that he necessarily gets to gold this year. I would not go crazy with investments on him. Jake Diekman gets nooched. Still very good for in fact, this actually helps for BR because the BB9 gets boosted, and that's always his biggest issue. Ian Kennedy gets a healthy boost. He's been awesome for the Rangers. He could get to silver. He's also got a 49 stamina, so another guy that you could use in BR and take advantage of that extra stammy. Hoyt gets moved into CP. Okay. Position change. Alex Reyes. Here's an excellent example of, but his ERA is .45. Why didn't he go up to Diamond? Because that doesn't matter, okay? He walks everybody, and his strikeout rate is good, but for a reliever, this is such a crazy thing to say, but it's the truth. A 12.2 K9 for a reliever, it's good, but it's not excellent. It's not top of the scale. So, should he be up from a 70 if he continues to get strikeouts at this rate? Yes, I will say that. But he's not going to even go to silver, let alone gold, which some people are hoping he goes to, until he stops walking guys. And spoiler alert, he's not going to stop walking guys. I'm sorry. Ugh, gross. Moving on. Oh, wait, that's it? Oh, they only have 2 pages? Okay, yeah. Any new closers? Nope. Moving on to catcher. JT Realmuto gets nooched. Nice little boost overall, though. None of that really hurts that much, so it's fine. Buster Posey is on the destined for Diamond path, y'all. And we saw today from Inside Edge that +3 to his contact and power against righties would get him there. So he's definitely somebody who can get to Diamond this year. A one-time superstar, finding his old form. This is fun, man. Even if you're not a Giants fan, you gotta love that Buster Posey has found the fountain of youth so far this year and been excellent. If you have shares, just hold. If you don't, I don't know where the price is right now, but determine whether or not you want to get in based on whatever his price is. Grandal gets nooched. He's had such a weird season. Looking at you see his average there is 130, and yet he still has a 717 OPS. Now listen, nobody's going to lose their mind at a 717 OPS. Like, that's not special. But when you're only hitting 130, it's kind of impressive. Like that, it's because his OBP is so good, and he still has a 203 ISO. So his hits will start to fall. As far as getting to Diamond, though, I don't really see it because he's never a good batting average guy. Carson Kelly, I know y'all wanted him to get to gold. I had him for 2 points, so I kind of hit this one, but he is absolutely a hold for gold. Buy the dip if people panic. Jacob Stallings gains a point. He is in the gold realm, but I don't really see him getting there because, like, I think 766 OPS, I think a mid 700s OPS is kind of his peak. So the way he could get to gold, we would need like that perfect 2-week run where he just pops off and hits like 400, 400 average and like a 700 slug for, just a 2-week run where he hits like 4 homers. That could get him there. But I just don't think he's a consistently strong enough. He's a great catcher. He's a brilliant defender, and hitting a 766 OPS makes him an above average guy. But as far as getting to gold, he's going to need that perfect 2-week run to really get there for us. So don't go over investing in Stallings. Yan Gomes, I think he's been gold before, but he's still 3 points away. I don't really see it personally. James McCann has been a bit of a massive bust for the Mets, so he's a long way out. A neutral move for d'Arnaud, and now he's hurt, I think, for the year, or if not, for a very long time. So if you were invested in him, you can get rid of those. Your mean goes up to silver. And I know some of y'all wanted silver for the first update, but that would have been like a 50-point upgrade. It wouldn't have been that much, but it would have been massive. Now he gets there, and now we kind of wait and see how legitimate he is before we determine if we want to get in for gold. Right now, I'd put him as a fringe hold for gold. Like he would, so when I did that list of hold for golds, ranking them 1 through 10, Mercedes' number would be like a 2. He has a very low chance of going gold in the immediate future. Long term, if you want to invest, I get it. But if you're not a patient type of person, do not invest in your mean Mercedes. Murphy gets nooched. His hitting just hasn't quite been there this year. Tucker Barnhart gets boosted up into silver. He's been awesome. He stopped switch hitting, and it's really starting to click for him. Mike Zunino. Get some Mike Zuninos in the chat. My Twitch folks. He goes up to silver. This is his peak. He'll go back to bronze at some point this year. I guarantee it. Higgy's been playing a lot more because Gary Sanchez is very ungood at baseball. Speak of the devil, he's right there. And so Higgy could go silver, but that's probably the max for him. I wouldn't get too crazy. Can we get that Tops Now Higashioka again from last year that had like 125 power against righties and lefties? What a bananas card that was. Garver loses 2 points. I will say, though, this actually makes him better for BR. Because for one, he's going to be a bronze, so he's going to come up more often. There's more bronzes to get. For two, the downgrade, the way it's arranged here doesn't hurt us for BR. Oh, you're going to take some contact on All-Star? I don't care. You're going to give us power? Thank you. I'll still draft him every single time he comes up. I don't care. Danny Jansen gets nooched. He's starting to hit for a little bit more power, but as you can see, his numbers have been a disaster. He's lucky to get nooched. He could have been downgraded, and it would have made sense. And he didn't talk to me at the Astros game, so I have a beef against it. No, I'm kidding. I'm 1,000% kidding. A player, like, we got to sit behind the batter's box for Toronto, and it was awesome. A bunch of players interacted with us, but I'm 1,000% tongue-in-cheek when I'm pretending to be mad at him for not interacting. Players don't owe you shit. I don't care where your seats are. And if you're hitting 107, focus on your hitting, not talking to some dweeb about... I want to talk to him about how our glasses are the same because I'm a fucking dork. Tom Murphy goes down 1, fake player. Austin Hedges, very ungood at hitting. Zach Collins gets boosted. Stay tuned. Now, this is not a great thing that I hate talking about, like the fantasy or the MLB The Show impact of like a potential injury because it feels kind of ghoulish to focus on that. But Jose Abreu got into a big collision with Hunter Dozier today. It was really nasty, and so Zach Collins could play a lot more. He and Yermin will take the catching duties while Grandal goes to first if Abreu's out for any period of time. So maybe he'll get some playing time and get an opportunity to boost these numbers. And could he go silver? Sure, but it's a long shot. I wouldn't invest. Maldonado, whatever. Again, these lower tier guys, we're going to just be looking more for the investment opportunities. And if they're not there, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time because that's how these things turn into being like 3-hour videos. Plus, I do have a hard stop for something soon. Luis Torrens, if there's any guy here this low that I could at least say a little something about, he's a legit prospect. Now, he's struggled at the dish, and this is why I don't like to invest in rookie catchers for fantasy. But there is a case to be made that in the summer, if he started to get more playing time and his hitting started to come together, that he could maybe make a chase for silver. But we're ages away from that. So basically, I just want you to know the name Torrens, more so for the future. Really, it's for like 2022 and beyond. That doesn't do us any good for this year in MLB The Show, but he's a prospect to keep an eye on. Oh, were there any new catchers? Cavan, Smith, Jake Rogers, and Drew Butera. Hopefully you finish these 3 sets because these cards will be mad expensive and they're going to be really hard to get. Yuli Gurriel is now on the Diamond Watch, folks. The big reason why is because not only is his batting average there, but he's that power from 2019. It went away in 2020. It's back this year. And when you can do everything at the dish, you become quite an interesting diamond potential. I never, ever would have thought that we could be talking about Yuli Gurriel for diamond, and yet here we are. And it's quite legitimate with the way he's hitting. Speaking of Abreu, he does go down. He hasn't been hitting quite as well. I think he's a gold anyway. Like, he started as a diamond this year, and I get that. He was the reigning MVP. I totally get it. And they say, hey, you could be diamond, and let's see if your 2020 numbers will carry over. They're not. And I hope he's not hurt long term. He'll probably go in the concussion protocol for sure. Hopefully he's fine, because it was an ugly bump there that he took. Paul Goldschmidt goes down. I think some folks were surprised by this. It was Arenado that people were upset about. Okay, because Goldschmidt's numbers aren't very good. Of course he went down. Rizzo, the batting average has been the problem. You can see he went up against lefties because he's been getting a few hits against lefties, but he's not hitting against righties, which is normally what he does. So this one's tough. Nothing really to see here, though, as far as investments go. My boy, Jared Walsh. This was one of my biggest ones to get from day one in MLB The Show. I was getting Jared Walsh shares the second the game was released. I loved him for this year. He's been awesome. He's fulfilling. He's going even beyond my expectations with the 946 OPS. Could he get to diamond? Yeah, but it'd be like August or September. It's such a long way out that we don't really need to focus on it right now. Jesus Aguilar hit like a home run 50 days in a row or something. He's been awesome. He gets back to gold. He's looking a lot more like that, the 2018 version. Now, I say that, and there is a card for that year in the game that is a diamond. That doesn't mean that he has a great chance to get to diamond, because don't forget, a card like that only takes the 1 year. His live series still has to take into account his previous years. So he's hitting his ass off. He's been awesome. We'll talk about him as diamond once he gets to like 83. But right now, you can sell your shares. I sold all mine to make the profit off silver to gold. We don't have to worry about diamond just yet. One of my 79.5s comes through. On my investment list, sometimes I put 79.5 for a guy if I'm not quite sure. And I'm just like, I don't know. Invest in him, but I don't know if he's going to get it this week. I had him on there, and he hits. So hopefully you were invested in him because he gets there. Hosmer gets nooched. I know this bums some folks out. Just hold. I'm not a Hosmer fan. You guys know that. He's kind of a douche. But being a douche does not prevent you from going gold. And so it's also not going to prevent me, it's not going to make me give you guys bad advice just because I think he's kind of a douche. Stay invested in him. And I think he's going to get to gold if he continues to hit the way he has this year. Especially if he gets back on track against righties. Apparently he's been not so good against them the last few weeks. CJ Cron gets a healthy boost up to a 79. He's hurt right now, though. He has a back injury. Back injuries can be scary. Until he comes back, don't go crazy on your investments. Or until we at least know a timetable. And maybe we already do. I haven't seen one. I didn't check all day yesterday. I was out all day yesterday, so I don't know any news and notes that's out on Cron in terms of his health. If he's due back relatively soon, you can start investing now. But if it's like a month-long injury or anything, then don't worry about getting in just yet. Nooched for Mancini. We'll keep a close eye on him. As the summer heats up in Baltimore, he'll go on a run, and he might go on a run that makes him not diamond worthy, gold worthy. So we'll keep him on our radar right now, but we don't have to invest just yet. Brandon Belt gets nooched. He's been pretty good, but as you can see, the average has been rough. So he's doing it with on base and slugging. So I would invest in Mancini before I'd invest in Brandon Belt. Let me just say that. Zimmerman's been doing the best that he can with the limited time that he's getting. But if Josh Bell continues to play this terribly, then maybe Zimmerman has to play more of a full-time role. And then, and only then, would we be able to talk about him as maybe a gold. But we're a long way from any of that. Nate Lowe has been awesome. He has that Tops Now card that's quite good. He's up to a 76. We'll talk about gold with him down the line. It's not there yet. Not worth talking about yet. If you want to get on the ground floor, you can start investing now if you want. He's a young player with a lot of power. He's got all the time in the world to play. Texas has no reason not to play him every single day. So we could be talking about him then, but I'm not getting shares just yet. Mitch Moreland loses 1 point. What a travesty. He's so much better than Seth Brown. Ain't that right, Colin? I hope there's like 20 different Collins watching this and they're like, what? I didn't say anything about it, when I'm referring to literally to one specific person. Josh Naylor gets nooched. That's a bummer. Rowdy Tellez is back up. He does lose 2 points to account for what he's been doing, though. But he's back up from the minors, and, you know, we'll keep an eye on him, maybe getting back to silver. But until the bat starts to come alive, we don't have to worry about it. Mountcastle gets nooched. He could get hot, too, but we're not there just yet. Walker loses a couple points. I think he got off to a great start. Then I want to say he hit the IL, and then he's been rough since coming back. I think that's the right trajectory. So we're kind of off him. Yandy gets nooched. O'Hearn gets +3. Nice little boost for him. He could get silver. Nah, actually, I don't know, man. His average is so bad that I don't think he could really get silver without a big change there. Beatty just doesn't play enough. I think, you know, high bronze is his peak. Darren Ruff gets nooched. Pavin Smith. Pavin Smith has been really good for the Diamondbacks, and he can play infield, outfield. I'm going to keep an eye on him. I could see maybe a silver run eventually. Jake Bowers gets nooched. Oh, and that's it for first baseman. Connor Joe, Mike Toglia, and Luis Lorenzo come into. Okay, continuing on at second base, we have DJ LeMahieu losing just 1 point. I think I had somebody in my Twitch chat asking if he's going to go gold. If he does, it's not going to be for a while. He still has 5 points, or no, excuse me, he has 1 point of cushion. Wait, I'm an idiot. Why did I think? I know what I was thinking, because 80 gets you to gold. I'm like, he has 5 points. No, he has 1 point. Yes, he's going to go gold if he continues to hit like this, for sure. Now, question is, do I think he's going to continue to hit like this? No, I'm pretty bullish that he'll get back on track. But he has to do it in short order, because if the next 2 weeks are this bad, then he is going to go gold and have to work his way back up to diamond. So yeah, it's been rough for LeMahieu. The power hasn't been there, and frankly, neither has the average. Really, only his OBP has been there, and it's been a rough season for him and the Yankees at large, except for a couple. McNeil goes up 1, and now he's sitting on the doorstep of diamond. Wow, that's interesting. Guess what? He's not getting there, not without a lot of performance, namely with his power. I mean, he has a sub 700 OPS, but they gave a big update to his vision and discipline, which you can't see here. You know, you see the 8 strikeouts. That's the only thing that's listed here. He does have a good walk rate. He has a 99-point split between his on base and his average. That tells you that he's walking a ton. And he did get a little love in contact against lefties. But until he improves, like, he's a long way from going to diamond here, even though he's only 1 point away, because his production is not very strong right now. They were just trying to get his vision and discipline where they belong, a little bit of love for his lefty, and that's why he's 84. But do not think that he's a destined for diamond right now. It's a long way out. Albies gets nooched, and, you know, that's fair. That's just kind of where he's at right now. Between these two, though, I would put Albies as a better destined for diamond than McNeil. Granted, neither of them are even close right now, though, so I'm not suggesting that you go invest in them. If you want to, please make sure that you're in it for the long haul, because they're a long way out. David Fletcher gets hammered. He's been rough, and what's weird is he's actually kind of striking out a decent bit. That's one thing that he usually never does, so he loses 2 points, unfortunately. He could be in danger of losing gold if he continues like this. Colton Wong, he was a surprise gold. I got to say, that one snuck up on me a little bit. I knew he'd been producing well when he had first gotten off the IL, but I didn't think that he was necessarily doing anything all that special to merit gold this past couple weeks. And as you can see, he only has a 716 OPS. So what I think this was kind of getting his numbers to the level for the whole season. It wasn't just using the last 2 weeks. I think it was really using his full season here to say, okay, the way he's been hitting overall is enough to push him to gold, and then we'll go from here and see where he's at. Because, yeah, he has a 563 OPS over the last 2 weeks. That's why I missed this one. So they give him some love to kind of get him even here, but if he continues to hit like this, then he'll go right back out of gold pretty quickly. Brandon Lau had to come down. Hey, BR lovers, we love this, but everyone else, I understand, might be a little bummed. Not that he was ever going to go diamond, though, so I guess why would you even really be that upset about it one way or the other? He does become even a bigger BR god now, though. Joey Wendell gets nooched. That makes sense. Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor is on the hold for gold track right now. He's been playing brilliantly. He gets 2 points here, which is in line with what I thought he'd get. But if he continues to produce like this, you better believe he'll be chasing down gold at some point this summer. Moustakas loses a couple points. He's been rough, so I totally get it. Nico Horner not only gets these 2 points here to put him 3 points away from gold, but he just came off the IL after a quick IL stint. If he continues to hit well, obviously he's not going to maintain a 1056 OPS, especially with 0 homers. That's how you know that he's playing over his head right now. If you have over a 1000 OPS and you don't even have a single homer, then you're kind of over your skis, as they say. But he can be a massive contact and vision guy, and those categories alone can get him to gold. So I don't even think we need to watch his power and be like, oh, he has to hit homers to get gold. If he hits for the contact and has the strikeout rate that we know he can have, then he can get there just on that. On the contact alone, he can get there. He's hitting 389 right now. If he continues to hit well over 300 and does it against both sides, then Nico Horner becomes a really strong gold candidate. If you want to get on the ground floor now, you can. Just be patient because it is a long ways away right now. He needs 3 more points, and unless he starts hitting for power randomly, just for reference, he had literally 5 homers in the minors. Now, he only had, eyeballing it, about 400 minor league plate appearances, but still, he's not a power guy. So don't expect that. His best path is via the contact. Asdrubal, big day for Asdrubal. He goes silver and gets a hot diamond card, flashing back to his time with Cleveland when he was an absolute monster at shortstop. He was an interesting guy because this is just as defensive metrics were starting to get better. And they showed that he wasn't really that great of a defender. And yet you look at something like Baseball Tonight on ESPN, and he was in the web gems every single night. Like, I'm barely exaggerating. It was damn near every night with some brilliant plays. So you're like, well, how do those two things add up? Well, the thing of it is, spectacular plays do not mean that you're inherently a good defender. And part of the issue was that he had to turn what would be a normal or even routine play for a lot of shortstops into a magical play. And so I think that it was this weird thing where it's like, if he was a better defender, he wouldn't be making web gems because these would be easier plays. But because he was a middling or worse defender, he's doing all these crazy plays. And everyone's like, well, how is he not an elite defender? So it was just kind of interesting back in the day for him there. Obviously now he doesn't really play shortstop, but he is a quality hitter and he's been doing really well for the Diamondbacks. I don't really see gold, but it's nice to see him get to silver. VR loses 2 points. He loses his silver status. He could gain it back because he does have a little runway to play here with J.D. Davis on the bench, but I wouldn't invest. It's not worth the headache. John Birdie gets nooched. That's fine. Dylan Moore loses 1. He's been wretched this year, man. A lot of fantasy folks were interested in him because of his power speed. I will say 4 homers, 6 steals. That's still pretty good, but at what cost? Can you afford to put a 159 average for a guy who plays every day on your roster just for 4 homers and 6 steals? I'd say no. It's at a tipping point where I don't think you can really play him in fantasy right now. If you don't cut him, I would at least bench him. Gavin Lux gets +1. He had that mammoth homer the other day. This is just kind of catch up here because I don't really see any great production. He's not really on our radar right now until he starts to string together a lot more good games. Brock Holt gets snooched. Good for him. Jorge Mateo +3, doing some work against righties. He's an interesting player, but I don't even know that he would really find enough time or performance to go silver, so I don't think he's really on our radar. Wilmer Defoe loses 1. And Darius cries a little bit, the real Tap Scott. Big fan of Defoe back when he was with the Nats. I don't know if he still likes him now that he's a Pirate, but he loses a point. And then Harold Castro gets +1. Who cares? The Tigers are the worst team in the universe. Luis Rengifo gets back on the roster, and he's not really notable for us. Moving on to third base, Nolan Arenado. Now, this one caused a lot of consternation. And let me see. I'm gonna do this on the fly here, so pardon me. I'm looking over at my second screen if you're wondering what I keep looking over at. I'm gonna pull up his stats here. I didn't plan for this. This is why I'm having to do it on the fly. I want to see what all the issue is about with regards to folks that really thought he was going to get a healthy upgrade to go over 90, and the fact that SDS did not see fit for that. So let me go from April 28th until May 11th. That's Tuesday. And let's see what he's done here. Okay, so he's decimated lefties with a 1429 OPS. But it's 7 plate appearances. So, like, how much can you really give him? 6 points and 2 points seems pretty fair. I don't really see a problem with that. Now, against righties, I think that's probably where the question is. In 48 plate appearances, he has a 910 OPS against them, and he gets nothing? Well, he actually gets hit. He gets hit. He doesn't get nothing. He gets hit. And that's probably what's raising the eyebrows. His power goes down despite a 233 ISO. And for those that don't know what ISO is, it's your slugging minus your batting average. It's just a way to isolate your power. It gets rid of your base hits. Anything over 200 is pretty good. Once you start getting 230 and above, that's pretty great. 250 and above is like elite, top of the scale brilliance. So I think I understand why people are scratching their head a little bit, and I'm wondering if this is similar to the Tim Anderson situation. I actually reached out to SDS. We'll get to him when we get to shortstop, but they gave me some insight that Tim Anderson's downgrade was not about the last 2 weeks, but rather about his season-long production and the fact that they needed to catch up to where he was for the season. So let me see what Arenado's been doing. And I have to imagine that this is a very similar situation, because for the season, Arenado's hitting 264, 326, 471 against righties. So I think that that's why they decided that he deserved that little downgrade in power against righties right now. His vision is up. He got 2 points there for a 14% strikeout rate, and his discipline is down because he's only at an 8% walk rate, and he was at 8% last year, even though his previous years he was 9 to 10%. So when I look at this, if I'm going off of the same idea of what they said about Tim Anderson, then I understand it. Those of you who are only looking at the last 2 weeks, I totally get why you're bugging out and thinking, how the heck does he catch a downgrade against righties? So I understand that there could be maybe a little bit more clarity, that sometimes they're using the 2 weeks and other times they're using a more full season approach to catch up on somebody's numbers. It's tough to delineate that. Basically what I would say at this point, now that we know that this is a thing going forward, if somebody gets a downgrade that looks completely out of normal for what they should have deserved over the last 2 weeks, take a look at their full season numbers in that same category and see if that would have deserved a downgrade, and then you'll know that they are using the full season. That's what's happened with Nolan Arenado here. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Jose Ramirez gets nooched, still a god, nothing to see there. Machado gets a big hit and everything except for discipline. He just has been rough, so that's all there is to it. Anthony Rendon gets nooched. He's on the IL right now. Man's like, hey, leave me alone. I'm just on the IL. Let me heal before you start murking me. Nothing too crazy here, though. When he gets back, he still has the talent, obviously, and ability to push well into the high 80s, maybe into the low 90s with his skills, but we don't have to worry about that until he's back and playing. Bregman loses a point down to 85. And I haven't really been following him this year, so I'm going to trust that this makes sense, but I don't really know. Now, you look at his composite numbers. He has an 868 OPS with a good batting average, good OBP. The power is a little bit light for what he normally does, but I'm not really worried about him losing diamond. I will say that, because right now it looks like his baseline numbers are still pretty strong. Josh Donaldson gets nooched. No big deal there. I don't really see him necessarily pushing for diamond at this point. Without like a massive hot streak, I'll say. Speaking of diamond, Chapman gets nooched. He lost diamond last time. He's a long way from getting back to diamond, but because, as you can see between the two, now, for me, pretty much since he broke out, I've considered Matt Chapman the new Josh Donaldson. Because he has that elite defense, he doesn't need that much to go right with his hitting to get to diamond. So even though Josh Donaldson's been way better than Chapman this year, I would still give Chapman the better opportunity to get back to diamond. So if I was investing in either of them, it'd be a light investment in Chapman on the hopes that he gets back to diamond. Justin Turner gets nooched. I know that there was some hopes that he could chase down diamond last time because he was so good. And he got a boost, but not quite. And now he's kind of smoothing out a little bit. He's going to be one of those guys that kind of threatens a few different times this year. Like, he has a great enough hot streak where, like, could it be this week? Could it be this week? You know, I'm not really investing in him right now. I think I have some from the first update that I kept, and I'm just going to hang on to those. But I'm not adding to my investment. That's what I would say about Turner. Chris Bryant gets a boost. He's been amazing this year. And you see here that he got a pretty healthy boost, especially against lefties, and it was only worth 1 point. I think his next boost, if he continues to perform like this, would be a little bit more fruitful. Like, if he had the same kind of boosts next time, it might move him from 82 to 84 as opposed to just the 1 point. So if you bought Bryant, just hold. He was never going to get 4 points at one time anyway. So if you were hoping for diamond this update, you kind of had misplaced expectations to start with. But if you want to hold, there is some destined for diamond potential here with Bryant for sure. Devers gets nooched. He's a monster and he's a really good hitter, but he's a bad defender. I don't really see diamond here unless he was just off the charts offensively, which is difficult to predict. Like, who's going to predict somebody to have like a 1200 OPS for 2 months or something? And that's kind of what it would take. Urshela, he's been fine. He kind of is a quintessential gold, meaning he's just like, when you think of him with his defense and his solid but not over the top hitting, you think gold. You don't really see a diamond there. And when he was a silver, that didn't really make sense either. I think, he's just a solid low gold. This motherfucker destined for diamond. That's all there is to it. Kyle Seager goes down a little bit. No big deal there. Alec Bohm. I got to be honest. Alec Bohm is possibly facing a demotion at this point. I just don't know how much longer they can let him flail, and he's really, really struggling. And maybe he's just, we've seen this with star prospects before. This is not completely out of bounds that a prospect comes up, he does well, and everyone's like, okay, well, he's just going to keep doing that. And then he finally gets that first full season of exposure there, and the league finds a hole or two in his swing that they can exploit. He had 180 plate appearances last year, and he was very good. He has almost exactly that so far this year. He has 150. So equal samples. One great, one bad. And this is why we say small sample size, because 180 plate appearances from last year or 150 this year is not fully indicative of a player's talent. Hell, the 330 combined that he has, even that is a relatively small sample in terms of determining a bankable level that we can predict his talent to be at. So there's still a lot of volatility here, still a lot of noise. If you had him as a hold for gold early in the year because you were excited about a young up-and-coming hitter, I think you can move off of that because we're light years away from that at this point. But I even think that he could end up getting demoted at this point. I just said at this point to end both sentences, and it was really clunky to say it like that. Travis Shaw goes down. That's okay. He could be a save for silver because of his power, but like, you're not really going to cash in anything on that. And I don't really see gold, so I wouldn't waste my time. Hunter Dozier was unfortunately, like I said, involved in that big collision with Jose Abreu. Hopefully they're both okay. They'll probably both hit the concussion protocol. He's been rough this year, so this just adds injury to insult, unfortunately. And it's just hope he gets healthy. That's all you have to worry about at this point. We'll worry about the numbers once we know that he's good to go. Oh, pardon me. Candelario gets nooched. Been one of the few bright spots on the Tigers, but unless he gets his power up, I'm not sure he's going to get to silver. And without a big power surge, he has no chance at gold. So any investments in Candelario don't really necessarily need to be held. Austin Riley gets nooched. Now, he does have great power. So 393 slugging is a little bit uncharacteristic for him. I would absolutely put him on a save for silver because I think at some point this year he's going to go on a power run and he'll get to silver easily. And then from there we can assess his gold. I would not put him at hold for gold right now, but save for silver, absolutely. Bodie, he's a platoon or a utility type player. Like, that's all there is to it. He's struggling right now. It's only been 100 at-bats. I don't think he's this bad, but I understand why he got downgraded. Matt Duffy, whatever, and Phillip Evans. He got off to, sorry to hit you with the same lesson twice here. Just another great lesson in small samples, though. If you're a fantasy player, you might be familiar with what happened to Phil Evans to start the year. But you see these numbers on the screen here. They're terrible, right? He started the season, he was blistering. He had a 1,001 OPS through 12 games. It's like, yo, is this a breakout? No, not at all. Like, he's Phil Evans. No offense, Phil Evans. You're a better baseball player than I could ever hope to be. But he was running hot. That's all there is to it. Since then, he has a 472 OPS, and now he's on the IL. I'm not trying to make fun of Phil Evans. I feel bad kind of roasting him because he's struggling, and now he's on the IL. But this is why you got to be careful with small samples. And here, let me be honest. Sometimes a guy's small sample that he's on fire turns out to be the beginning of a breakout. But a lot of times, unless they have the talent that's been covered as a prospect, or if you saw some big talent change that they talked about in spring or anything like that, a lot of times they're a Phil Evans or an Akil Baddoo. And that just means that they're on a hot streak. No new third baseman. Only Carlos Herrera as far as new shortstops. Let's get into what's going on here. Trey Turner gets another point boost because he's a G, although Kevin Durant might be trading him out of the off the Nats in order to roster Shohei Ohtani. Stay tuned to that on Twitter. Big drama. That was a hilarious little back and forth there where Durant responded to a tweet about Ohtani and just said, yo, he's on another level. I might have to trade from an MLB The Show. And he goes, Trey Turner might have to dip. And for some reason, that phrase, Trey Turner might have to dip, made me laugh so hard. This is another one that people are bugging out about, and I'm thinking that it has to be another Nolan Arenado, Tim Anderson scenario, where it wasn't based on the last 2 weeks, but rather on the full season. So let me check real quick. So he lost power. Yeah, like it has to be. It has to be because his power the last 2 weeks has been good, but overall it's the worst power output of his career in terms of ISO and second worst in terms of slugging. So he just hasn't gotten going yet. Listen, guys, there's trade rumors now swirling around him like crazy. He's on a disastrously bad team. That stuff can kind of linger. And he's not even been bad. 825 OPS is not like, oh my God, why are you the worst player ever? But he hasn't quite been himself. And I say, just give him some time, to be honest. I wouldn't worry about it too much if you're a Trevor Story fan. Bogey gets to diamond. This was a lock. Bogey and Stanton were the two diamond locks. The other ones were the interesting surprises, but this one was slam dunk. Seager gets nooched. He's really fallen off. Remember how hot he started? He's down to a 780 OPS. He could lose diamond. If he keeps playing like this, he will lose diamond. So, I don't know why you would be invested in him because he was never going to go, well, I don't want to say never, but he was unlikely to go 90 plus, and investing in a diamond to go 90 plus, like, it's hard to do. Like, what kind of bank are you, Trev Teeps? Like, to have a bankroll to do that and get like 4 or 5 of a diamond in hopes that he goes up to a 90, that's pretty niche. So I don't think anybody had Seager shares that they were worried about. Lindor does get hit. I think somebody asked me in Twitch chat earlier in the week if Lindor would go down. I said, I don't think so yet. I thought they might give him one more update period, but I understand why they did. It's justifiable. They try to hold off on diamonds, but he has been brutal. Here's the thing. Wait for his price to bottom out, and then let's invest because he's already turning it around, but some of the good stuff that he's done came after the roster update locked, and it hasn't been enough to turn his numbers around, of course, because look at how bad they are. So if you like Francisco Lindor and you believe that he's going to get back on track, as I definitely do, then wait for that price to go way down, and then we get a few shares in hopes that he goes back to diamond in a couple weeks. Maybe when I say a couple weeks, I don't mean 2 weeks like the next update. I mean like 2 updates. Let's call it a month. If you're going to invest in Lindor, give it at least a month. Unless obviously he continues to struggle, like he goes back to struggling real quick. I'm saying if he performs well these next 2 weeks, they might not give it back to him just yet, but then 2 more weeks would be the deciding factor. Baez inches back up toward diamond. He's a long way from getting there, but if you want to ground floor it. Here's the thing. Okay, this works. I already talked about Tim Anderson, right? They downgraded him. Everyone's like, what the heck? This was to catch up for his full season production, not just the last 2 weeks. So take Lindor, Baez, and Anderson, okay? who's going to go diamond this year? Well, Lindor's only a point away, and he just lost diamond, so he probably has the best opportunity to do it, but he'll be the most expensive. Baez has been okay, 782 OPS, but he's pretty volatile because he strikes out so much, and that's just his player profile. Tim Anderson got dinged a little bit for his full season work, but we know he can still dominate lefties, and if he's getting better against righties, that balances his profile a little bit more. So the way I would invest in these, based on their price versus likelihood of going diamond, Anderson, Lindor, Baez. That's how I would do it. Now, likelihood of going diamond, it's actually Lindor, Anderson, Baez for me. But again, Lindor, even when his price comes down from losing diamond, is going to cost more than Anderson. So that's why I would put Anderson as the better investment, just from a price per investment standpoint. You have to be more patient with him because he's now 3 points away, but I still like him to eventually chase down diamond. Gene Segura gets +1. I didn't include him with this group, y'all, because he's never really shown a diamond caliber skill set. I think he's a really solid gold, good player, having a good season, but this is where he belongs. Correa loses 1. I know there were some people, getting in at the very beginning of the year like, yo, Correa is one of my diamond picks. I totally understood that, but now he's gone the other way. I would probably sell if I had shares of him. I would sell those out now at this point. I'm not even in for the long term at this point. We'll revisit if he gets hot, but right now I think you're better off putting those stubs to better use elsewhere. Bo Bichette gets nooched. He's one that people talked about as well as like, yo, but Bichette's my sneak tip diamond this year. He's still 4 points away. If you have those shares, you can hold those ones. I would hold Bichette over Correa, but we're a long way out. And I don't know, there's not a single path. He just needs to be better overall. He needs to get his season OPS over 900 and then sustain that for a while. That's a big ask. So you can monitor him, but I don't think you need to invest in Bichette just yet. Although he probably is close to base price. So if you do, at least it's no risk. My boy, Tommy Edman gets there, man. Been a big fan of his in fantasy now since he broke out in that half season a couple years ago. He's already got 7 steals. That's the main reason I like him, and his positional flexibility. We had him going gold. He gets there for us. Let's go, Tommy Edman. Andrelton Simmons loses a couple points. Makes sense. Marcus Semien gets there. Now here, this was one I only had him going to 79. I didn't think he was going to quite get there. And then somebody on the comments of my YouTube video said, well, he might get to gold by changing position because he's the second baseman. Notice there, Toronto has two shortstops here. And I was like, oh, that's really smart. So this morning, even though he was like 7-something, like 750, I still bought like 4 or 5 extra shares of Semien because I thought they would do the position change thing. Well, they didn't, and he still went gold, so whew, but they really need to change his position because he should be second base. But anyway, he does get gold, so if you invested, good job. Miguel Rojas gets +1. He could get back to gold. We know how he can do it with the batting average. He did it last year. I'm not a huge Miguel Rojas guy, but he's a 79. Let me see what I put him at on the hold for gold list that I put out when he was a 78. And then I'll let you know if I'm changing that. So I had Miguel Rojas as a 7 out of 10 to go gold in one of the next 2 updates, either today, because I put this out earlier in the week, or the next one. Could I boost it to 8? No, I'm gonna stick at a 7. Okay, I respect what he's doing, but I'm gonna stay at a 7 for Miguel Rojas. That's still pretty good, right? Like, that's still investable if you like him. He is definitely on the hold for gold path. But one of my issues as to why I would be a little bit more cautious about it is he's in a hot streak right now to get to 79. He's hitting 340 over his last 50 plate appearances. He basically has to maintain that, which means the BABIP has to stay really high and everything, and he should probably get going against righties or else he's not going to get there. As you can see, he went -4 against them. So what I would look for is basically just collecting base hits against righties. He's hitting 256 against righties. Until he gets that up to like 280, I would say he's not going to get there unless he hits a power surge, but that's very unlikely. I'll put that caveat out there just so somebody doesn't call me out when he hits like 4 homers in the next, 3 weeks and says, you said the only way he was going to get there was contact versus righties. Obviously, if he goes crazy and hits a power surge, which is a billion% unexpected, he can get there too. But anyway, fun player, cool guy, leads that Marlins team, but I think he's a light hold for gold right now. Freddie Galvis gets to silver. Congrats to him. He's playing very well. And, we can talk about gold way down the line. The thing of it is, man, once it heats up in Camden, shit can pop off. So he could be on the gold track at some point during the summer. Do not invest in him unless you are very patient, because I'm talking like July, August type of deal, not any time in the near future for Galvis. Brandon Crawford, speaking of popping off, man, his power has been going. That's why he got +7s against both sides. Now, could he get to gold? Yeah, but again, we're talking months before that, so I'm not investing. Between these two, I would invest in Galvis before Crawford, because again, Baltimore in the summer, I could go yard, like at least once, and Galvis can go yard several times, because he's actually got a little bit of punch in his bat. Dansby, man, this was one of my early investments for gold coming into the year because I really liked what he did last year. I believed in him, and he has been brutal. So I'm out on investing in him right now. We'll revisit if he gets on track. Polanco gets nooched. Culberson gets +1. He's been pretty good for the Rangers, but he's already coming back to earth. Aledmus gets nooched. Oh, this one's tough, but it's well-deserved, man. I mean, he's been brutal. I thought he could be a hold for gold, like a long-term, full-season hold for gold type. I don't even know if he gets back to silver at this point, dude. This started back in the playoffs last year when he was striking out like crazy. And another thing I said, in the preseason leading up to the year, I was concerned that Wander Franco was not going to make the majors this year because of Tampa Bay's persistent history of kind of slow roasting their prospects and really taking a long time. I also thought he would start in Double-A, so I did change my tune once they said that he was going to go to Triple-A. But another reason that I was worried was because Brandon Lau and Willy Adames are both really good, and I thought that they'd be awesome this year. Well, you saw that Lau got murked, Adames get murked. Now there's A, an opening, and B, he's in AAA, and C, obviously he's a superstar potential in Franco, and now I've completely gone away from my original call. And here's the thing. If you don't adjust your calls, like when new information comes into the picture just because you want to like stick to your guns or something, then you're stupid, okay? I'm sorry, that's the only way to put it. When new info, it's not flip-flopping for me to take in new info and be like, well, yeah, now I totally understand that he's almost certainly going to make the majors at some point this year. Now, I still wouldn't be surprised if Vidal Brujan and or Taylor Walls were called up ahead of him, but if there's a long-term issue, like let's say somebody gets hurt, knock on wood, or if they just said Adames needs to go to AAA to get his mind right, I do think in a longer-term situation, Franco would get the call, especially if he kills it at the minors. So I just want to be clear on that. Eric Gonzalez, cool, +1, whatever. Nico gets -1. He's actually been hitting kind of pretty well lately with his power, but as you can see, his vision is disastrous. He has 48 strikeouts in 104 at-bats. You don't even need to know how to do mental math to know that that's damn near 50% of the time that he's striking out. That ain't good. So despite actually playing well overall in terms of his OPS since the last update, he gets -1 because those strikeouts have been horrendous. Jimenez loses 2. He could also get sent down soon if he continues to play like this. They just can't keep putting him out there, man. It's been really bad. Adrianza gets 3-point boost. He's been playing pretty well. I don't think he's like a real threat to like start taking Dansby's time. They're going to let Dansby play through this, but he's kind of a play everywhere sort of super util. I don't really see silver though. Nick Maton gets to 60. Cool. All right, left field. Again, Stanton, I told y'all this one was a slam dunk. I'm not saying I told y'all like I called it. Everyone knew. The market was there. This was a slam dunk. He was going diamond. JD gets nooched, man. And again, these DHs are so tough, and you have to have real intestinal fortitude and real patience to invest in these. JD Martinez, Nelson Cruz, Franmil Reyes, Yordan Alvarez. Obviously, Martinez, Cruz, Alvarez are golds trying to go to diamond, while Reyes is a silver trying to go gold. But the problem is they have awful defense, and their defense is not going to get upgraded. So everything has to come from the hitting, and it just puts such stress on them, and it can be maddening. If you have JD, just hold, just be patient. Teoscar gets nooched. I think he's starting to come alive a little bit though, so keep a close eye on him. He could still make a run at mid gold. I don't really think diamond though. He was actually one of my for lack of a better word, bust picks this year in fantasy, only because of how high he was going. He was a firm top 100 pick, and I was just worried that last year was just a hot streak as opposed to a new player. And I hate to say that, man, because he was really nice to us at the Astros game, but I can't just use kindness to lie about a player. He's a very good player, but he's not diamond potential, and if anything, I think 81 to 82 is probably his max. Don't tell him I said that. I did say that I had him going hitting 40 homers this year, and that is the truth. But I think he's going to hit like 40 homers with like a 250 average at the highest. He is hitting 304 so far, but I'm a little bit nervous about the believability of that. Brantley loses one. He was never really a diamond threat anyway. Alvarez, again, he's 2 points behind Martinez. Same kind of deal, though. Everything has to come from the hitting. It just requires him to be so elite, which he can be, but can he get 4 more points? Not without his vision going up. It went up 8 points here, but he needs to strike out a lot less to really push that up, or else everything has to come in the core 4, which are the 2 contact and 2 power numbers, and so it'll be tough. I would not invest in Alvarez. I don't think it's worth your time. O'Neill gets +1, but as you can see here, he's hitting 231 with a 260 on base. I cannot stress to you enough how fucking awful that is. He's got great raw skills, but I think until he translates those into, a better hit tool, a little bit better hit tool, or even a better eye, or both, I don't know that he's going to go gold. What it would take here is the perfect 2-week run where he just, has like a 400 BABIP, so his batting average is really high. He takes a handful of walks unexpectedly, and then finagles his way into gold. That's our only opportunity here, because his consistency is just not there. We've seen it. He's been consistently inconsistent, to use a cheesy phrase. You love the defense. You love the speed. I understand why you would want to invest here, but you need to believe the shitty OBP and shitty average, because that's who he is right now. This is the one that had a lot of folks upset. Got into a little Twitter thread. It was a pretty kind Twitter thread. It wasn't like arguing or anything, or like yelling at people and name calling or anything. But there was a Reds fan who was like, "This is a travesty," and I'm like, here's the thing, man. He had a 445 OPS against lefties since the last update, and an 1119 against righties. So they gave him a massive versus righties upgrade, and they dinged him against lefties. I think it's fair. Winker, while he isn't a DH, is basically in that same realm as his comparison would be Franmil Reyes, because the other guys are gold. But he's almost one of those DH only types where everything has to come from his offense, because he's a dreadful defender, and he doesn't have any speed either. And his speed has not gotten any better to maybe sprinkle a few points on that. So it all has to come from the hitting, and my man has just not shown the ability to hit lefties consistently. Last year he hit him a little bit, but guess what? That was a 2-month sample. It wasn't a new skill level. And I just think that at the end of the day, he's going to struggle to get to those final 2 points. Not saying it's impossible. I had him for gold this week, so I got this one wrong. But I understand when I look at the full numbers why they weren't able to get there with him. Basically, what we're going to need is either some improvement against lefties, or just an overwhelming thrashing against righties that basically blunt forces his way into gold. What that would mostly take is power. He has 7 homers against them so far, which is very good. He has a 364 ISO, that's also very good, but this is new. This kind of power from him is new. So they can't quite get him into the, high 90s or low 100s with his power against righties until he shows some sustainability. But he also has a 476 BABIP. So chances are he's probably going to smooth out against righties, continue to suck against lefties, and be a disappointment again the way he was for most of last year. Did he ever hit gold last year? I can't remember. I want to say that we had him as a gold multiple times last year and continued to be disappointed. I don't know if he ever got there or not. But either way, he had an 890 OPS against lefties last year, but he had a 368 BABIP. That BABIP has come back down, and this is why he's not a gold. So they didn't get this one wrong, y'all. I did. Okay, I should have been into his splits a little bit more and realizing that he was so bad against lefties that they couldn't quite get him there. I would hold if you're invested. Don't sell, but maybe don't go buy a ton more. I wouldn't buy the dip here. That's what I'll say. Kutch gets +1. I love Kutch. He's just so easy to root for. Great dude. I don't really see gold this year, though. Dom Smith loses 2. This was one of my big gold candidates for the year, and he's been brutal. So he's going to need to turn things around quite a bit. I saw my boy Cal just re-upped in the Twitch chat. Thank you so much for the resub. I do appreciate that. But unfortunately, I got to talk negatively about your boy here because he has been rough. I don't really know if I have to deep dive this. The numbers speak for themselves. So he loses his silver and goes to bronze. We know he can get hot. We saw it last year. But gold is off the table for the foreseeable future, and frankly, so is bronze silver because I think he would need a month of heavy production to even push back into the bronze silver. I keep saying bronze. Sorry, Willie Calhoun. I thought he would get there. So between he and Adolis Garcia, 2 guys both on the Rangers that were at 70, I had both of them getting to 75, but I had more confidence that Calhoun would get there, and I knew that Adolis was. It was a little bit of a long shot because his core skills aren't that good. Well, Calhoun doesn't get there because of his contact versus lefty and his power against righties. Okay, but he does get to 73. I think Adolis got the same exact thing. Let me go find him real quick since we're talking about him. Wait, where was he? Oh, right there. He got 4 points. So he got closer, but his skills, his core skills, his walk rate and strikeout rate are more suspect. And so he's been a little bit more lucky, or better said, unsustainable than Calhoun. So even though he's a point higher, our Garcia is, I would still bet on Calhoun as the better silver potential. I think we're seeing the full Willie Calhoun breakout, whereas Adolis, I'm going to say that he ends the season. Let me see where he's at right now before I make this lofty prediction. Okay, yeah, this isn't too crazy. I'm going to say he ends the season with a 750 or lower OPS for the whole season. So he's going to lose 104 points or more off of his OPS. He just strikes out way too much. And it just makes you too volatile to... and he's running hot right now. He's been excellent. He deserves this upgrade that he got. But I think he ends with a 750 or lower by season's end. Sorry, Colin. All right, Robbie Grossman, one of 3 decent to quality players on the Tigers. I think I mentioned Matthew Boyd earlier, Jamer Candelario. We ain't got much, but he's been great, so he did deserve this. I wonder if they might sprinkle a little stealing love on him. He's been great on the bases, which has made him a nice fantasy asset as well. But I don't really see much else here. Maybe silver down the line. Oh, he got nooched. I didn't even realize that. He didn't even get an upgrade. Maybe silver, but don't invest. It's not worth your time. 6 points here for Josh Rojas. He's been out of his mind bonkers. I had him going up to 73, so I missed by a point, but that's fine. Basically, what we're doing is we set up silver here. He is a save for silver. We'll talk about his gold future down the line, but he does have the baseline of skills to chase down gold if he continues to play like this. And I do believe there is enough reason to think that he can continue to play this well. Cal Garlick gets +1 because he's apparently crushing lefties. Good for him. Billy McKinney gets nooched. And that's it for left fielders. Troy Stokes is new. Nick Martini and Cooper Hummel. Nothing really to see there as far as investments. Shogo. Oh, we'll talk about those after that. Those are actually some interesting center fielders that are new to the game. Acuna gets boosted because he's a god. I mean, what more is there to say? He's hurt now. Hopefully it's not anything too crazy, but he's an absolute monster. Buxton gets another boost even while on the IL. How impressive is that? Rendon's getting downgrades on the IL. Buxton's getting upgrades. They had to catch up because he's just been so off the charts. I know it's only 98 plate appearances, small sample. We understand that. But he'd been so good that they did have to sprinkle a little extra on top. I totally agree with this move. And then we kind of wait and see what happens when he gets back. If Buxton comes back healthy and he's fine, then obviously 90 plus is very much a possibility this year with how well he's been playing. Laureano gets +1. I will put him in the diamond realm, okay? I think I'm going to do a list of the golds similar to the silver one. Just, call it a destined for diamond list and give a 1 to 10 rating of all the golds and what their likelihood of going diamond is in the next, I would probably say 3 updates for that. I need to give a longer time frame just because getting to diamond, they require more, as they should. Getting to gold requires a certain level. Diamond has to be higher than that, and it absolutely is. Bader gets there. Okay. I was already invested in him because his price was so cheap. And I did have him at a 79. And if I have a 79, then you got to be ready to invest in case I'm a little shy. I was a little shy. Boom, they get him to gold. He's been off the charts since coming back from the IL. Now, he does have the great defense and speed. So you're thinking, well, could he possibly chase down diamond, in August or July? I'm going to say no. Okay. Because yes, the power is popping off so far this year, but he's never really been a power guy. He's already kind of smoothing out from this fast start off the IL. I love that he's gold. I think he has a good chance to hold his gold tier the rest of the year, but I don't really see diamond. Tapia, definite hold for gold right now. He's actually been playing quite well for the Rockies. Of course, that home park certainly helps things too. I had him at an 8 on the hold for gold sheet. Lorenzo Cain loses 1. He's been brutal. Do not hold him for gold. Kiermaier had to come down. Absolutely. He's been brutal. Do not hold for gold. Clue. Lewis gets nooched. I think I had him at a 7. Yes, I have him at a 7, and this doesn't change that. He's actually, if anything, I might make it a 6 because I thought maybe he could get a point up to 79, and he didn't do that. I didn't have him on my upgrades list. I don't think I did I? Let me just check real quick. Yeah, no, I didn't have him there, but in my mind, I was like, he could maybe get to 79 here, but he gets nooched, and I would actually move him down to a 6 on that hold for gold list. Which means if you have him, just hold your shares if you have Lewis, but don't add a bunch more right now because he just hasn't been that great yet. I would just kind of play it cautiously. If you have none, you can get a few, but if you already have some, just hold those. How about that? Austin Hayes gets nooched. I don't know about gold. I would say no. What did I put him at? Let me just check the list. It'll be easier to just check the list instead of just trying to come up with new thoughts. Yeah, 7 for him. I'm not going to say everybody on the list because then I'm taking away the value from the Twitch subscribers, but I'll just name a few, Senzel, man, he's been a disappointment this year. He's not even running, which I thought he at least would. I know he got +3. This was a catch-up, though, because look at his composite numbers. So I think we had him for an upgrade last time, and then he didn't get it, and it was like, wait, what? So yeah, this is total catch-up. I don't think that there's anything to this that says like, oh, but look at his numbers. Sorry, I'm stumbling all over my words because like it's simple. We don't need to complicate this one. He's got a 660 OPS. Until he drastically changes that, he's not in the gold realm. Pollock has some hold for gold upside, although between the two Dodgers that are like good but don't get a lot of hype, between Chris Taylor and AJ Pollock, I like Taylor more. But Pollock has been good. He is a hold for gold. If you have shares, hang on. If you don't have any, you can get some. But I definitely see some hold for gold here, but I do like Chris Taylor more. So if you're only investing in one, go for Taylor. Pilar gets nooched, whatever. Margot goes up 1. We could talk about him as a gold down the line, but right now, nah. Hicks, man. Moment of silence for his health right now, because he's gonna have to have surgery again, it looks like, and it's just not good, man. I feel so bad. Such a great talent that we've seen flash, for seasons at a time, let alone just a couple weeks here and there. But the health has constantly gotten in his way to keep him from just breaking out and sustaining, and it looks like it's happening again. So if you had some early season shares that, as somebody to invest in from day one, you can go ahead and get rid of those. Marisnick gets to silver. He's been great. He's been killing it for the Cubs. He's always been a solid defender with good speed, and now he's putting some offense together. I don't really see gold, though, because he's not even a full-time player. If he found himself a full-time role and continued to hit like this, then, of course, we could revisit. But he's 5 points away, so we would have ample time to catch up if we had to. Is he hurt right now? Oh, yeah, now he has a strained hamstring, too. So, yeah, he's not even... Don't even get a few shares right now. It's a waste of your time. You'll have plenty of time to get in if things change. Canha gets nooched. He's been great for fantasy. 5 homers and 6 steals with a 772 OPS. But the contact's been light, so that's why he's down here. I thought he could get gold this year because he's been so good. It's not out of the picture, but until that batting average comes up, you do not need to start investing. But once you see that average start to get up over 260, and hopefully higher, but at least 260 before you even start buying shares. Brett Phillips gets a nice boost. He's been doing really well against righties. He's got great defense, great speed, but this is about his max. Said the Entertainer. This is an amazing shirt. This is not an ad, but I have to show y'all. If you like The Wire and the Baltimore Orioles, or even if you just like Cedric Mullins in The Wire, this is Cedric as Omar from the shirt company rotoware.com. Just a brilliant idea. I love this. They sent this one to me, but I bought tons of shirts from them. So like I said, not an ad. They did not ask me to say anything positive about them or anything. They're just hooking your boy up for being a loyal fan of them. But this one is one of my favorites, man. Such a creative idea. He's been awesome. He's definitely a save for silver, and we can talk about gold with him down the line because there's a lot of viability into the breakout that he's having here to the point where I do think he could actually make gold way down the line, but silver's coming up soon, I think. Lurie gets nooched. Pache loses 2 points. He's got to be going down to the minors soon, I would think. Brinson gets 2 points. Do not fall for this. Because, I mean, you already see he's 599 OPS. He has been hot the last 2 weeks, but do not fall for this. He could be common by the end of the year if he's not careful. He is common already and deserved. All right, so the new guys here. We got 2 really impressive ones. I do not know who Cole Roederer is. No offense, Cole. Sorry, I just don't know who you are. But these 2. Shogo finally gets in the game. Remember last year, he never got in the game. As I've told y'all before, when it comes to that, SDS will put you in the game the millisecond that they can. They have no desire to hold anybody back or anything like that. So I can confidently say that Akiyama not being in the game was not an SDS issue. Rather, something on Akiyama's end or the players' union end that they didn't have the right paperwork or whatever it is that they need to authorize him into the game. So they got that in order, and here he is. And he already starts as a nice little bronze because he has decent fielding and that great discipline. He hasn't hit for anything yet, but keep a close eye on him because I thought he started to show some skills at the end of last year in line with what we expected of him coming over from Japan. And if he starts to tap back into those skills, he'll be an easy silver. So you can't invest right now because he's a new card. He's going to be like 2,000 for a bronze. I'm not even kidding. But once he's in the game for like 3-4 weeks, he'll start to go way back down to bronze level prices, and then we can keep an eye on his performance and decide if we want to invest. Same goes for Kelnick, but even to a much higher degree. In fact, he might not even bottom out all the way down to like, sorry, hang on. Pardon me, I hit my button there. He might not even bottom out to like, 25 stubs, which is what a bronze usually costs. He'll probably still be in the like, I'd say 200 to 400 range. Even when his price goes way down because people have a lot of expectation for him. But keep a close eye on him because obviously as an elite prospect, if he gets into a more reasonable price range, again, under 500 stubs, then you can start to invest because Kelnick has the skills to go gold this year, even starting, not getting a season start until May 13th. He's fronting the league a month and a half. He could still get to gold. That's how good he is. But you got to wait for the price to bottom out. And bottoming out for him, again, is not going to be the same as Akiyama. Just keep that in mind. And let's finish off with right field. We have Mookie Betts losing a point. He's been struggling a little bit lately, so they had to bump him down. It is what it is. I hate that phrase, but it was the apt phrase for this situation because there's nothing to panic about. There's nothing to worry about fantasy-wise. Don't worry. It's just a cold streak. Judge gets nooched. Whatever. Castellanos, very much on the destined for diamond trail. If you don't have shares of him already, you're late. But hopefully he's still priced to get in. He is 2 points away. He went diamond last year. We know he can get there. We know what he has to do. Just keep hitting. I've been through the rigmarole here with DHs. Y'all already know. If you have shares, just hold. But maybe don't buy more if you don't want a headache, unless you have like a Costco-sized bottle of Advil lying around. Maybe just let the rest of us dopes fucking fall for these DHs. Gallo loses 1 point. Yeah, he's not really invest worthy anyway because his contact is never going to be high enough to really push diamond, even though he's got elite power, elite discipline, elite fielding, and even some decent speed for a slugger. The contact's just never going to get him there. Will Myers gets nooched. Kyle Tucker, premier hold for gold right now. I understand you see 214 average, 289 OBP. What do you mean hold for gold? Okay, well, bottom line is I just don't believe that. I don't believe that that's the kind of player that he is. I see Kyle Tucker being much better, and that's already starting to come to fruition. He's been on fire a little bit lately, and it won't take too much of a hot streak to get him into the gold tier. So, again, market's already starting to inch him upward. I think he was at 500 something this morning when I was looking. And he actually is above average this year. He has a 106 OPS plus, despite the fact that he has a sub 300 OBP. And in the month of May, he is hitting 297, 409, 649. So it's already coming together. It's already coming together. That's why he got a +1 here. And you better get in now while the getting's good. All right, and then we have Mitch Haniger here +2. He's been playing quite well, even though he has a sub 300 OPS as well. It's because his power has been off the charts. He's going to need to turn that OBP around. Bottom line, even if he doesn't get those 6 points back in discipline, to sustain an 800 or better OPS is really difficult to do if your OBP is below 300. Over the course of a season, that's just going to catch up to you. Rougned Odor notwithstanding. He was able to do it a few times because I guess he sold out for so much power that he was able to overcome his general suckiness. I don't believe Haniger is Rougned Odor. I think he's much, much better. He's very much on the hold for gold tip right now. If you're not already in, I don't know where the price is right now, but as long as it's, 600 and below, then you can get in. In fact, Rougned Odor never did it either. Yeah, you can't really maintain, an 800 plus OPS with a sub 300 OBP. It's really, really, really difficult. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's done it, but it's very rare. The best Odor ever did was 798 back in 2016. But yeah, Haniger is on the hold for gold tip for sure. Grichuk is too, but I would be much more interested in Haniger and Tucker. He does get +1 here. He's been hitting well. The problem is for me is I'm just a little bit suspect on his batting average. The 275 is nice, but can it go higher? I don't really think so, and it would need to for him to go gold. So that's the issue I have with Grichuk right now. Capdeezy loses his gold, and that was right. Avi. Okay, now this is my guy here. This is a guy I was heavily investing in fantasy this year because I thought he was somebody who was going to play regularly, even though they had 4 outfielders, Yelich, Kane, Bradley, and him. I still thought that he could play over Bradley with Kane in center and then Yelich and Garcia on the corners. Well, he's been able to play full-time because Kane was hurt. Now Yelich is hurt. So the fact that Bradley's been terrible, I kind of had the right answer there, except it wasn't necessary. But what that means though is when Yelich comes back, I think Bradley is the one who's going to hit the bench as long as Avi continues to hit well, meaning he is on the hold for gold track, because I do believe in his power spike that we've seen recently in the last week to 10 days, and that will drive him to gold if he's going to get there. So I have Avi as a hold for gold, and I think he's very much still priced to buy. Luplow, he's paying the piper now. Wait, is that the right? No, that's not the right phrase. I don't know. But his kind of fluke start has come due. Is it pay the piper? I've never used that phrase before. I don't really know what it means. Who the fuck's the piper? That wrestler dude? Roddy Piper? Yeah, that. Wow, sick joke where the target demo is like 52 years old. Dope, Paul. Well done. But yeah, he's nooched, and he could lose silver by the end of the year. Like, he used to just be a lefty killer. He had this big power spike against righties. You see where his average is. It's disastrously low. He'll improve off of that, but I don't really see gold. If anything, I see him, I either see him staying silver or going down. I do not see him really going up. Again, I've already gone into detail about the headache that these guys induce. If he doesn't get his contact up, he ain't going gold. Dylan Carlson gets to silver. We thought he could get there in the first update. He gets there this time. He is absolutely hold for gold. I'm not giving up any of my Dylan Carlson shares right now. I already talked about Adolis Garcia. Austin Meadows loses a point. He's been struggling. I know some folks had him on a hold for gold tip. You could still hold if you wanted to, but now he's a long way from getting there because he has to get back to silver before he can get to gold. Piscotty loses 2 points. He's going to start losing playing time, too, to Seth Brown if he doesn't turn it around. And then Brown and Moreland can play, both elite players. Moreland more so. Colin. Kirilloff gets nooched, and he's on the IL now. If you had shares of him, you can get rid of him because it's a wrist injury, which even if it's not long-term, it's going to sap his power. And this really sucks because he was on fire when he went out. And then Justin Williams and Luke Raley, whatever. And then Trevor Larnach, his replacement basically, is up. Now, he hasn't really gotten going yet, but I do believe that he can. So I would actually put Larnach as a decent save for silver. It's a long-term situation. He needs 6 points, but he's got the power and an overall offensive profile that can get there. But it's a new player, so wait until he goes way down in price. And that'll do it. That's roster update number 2. Hopefully you hit big this week. We had a lot of great opportunities too, so hopefully you found something that you wanted to invest in and scored big. I had a huge week. I feel great about it. I'm excited to get in there and buy some players off the market with my newfound riches. And again, twitch.tv/sport if you want to watch these live every other Friday. You can subscribe on Twitch as well if you want to get the investment list, which has all my players I like to get upgraded, as well as that hold for gold list that I referenced, and I might be doing a destined for diamond list. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching.